Guys, apologies about the setting today. This is going to be a short one. I'm just replying to strange comments. I got comments, sort of pro Sharia. As I said, I don't mind people that are Muslims, Christians, Buddhists. I respect everybody's opinion. I'm not anti-immigration. I'm actually pro-immigration. I'm pro vetting process, not to let criminals into the country, regardless of their religion. And I wanted to take you here today, and I want to know if this is the first time I'm using this type of software, and this is can somebody let me know if you can see the screen, if you can see what I'm seeing here. Let me have a look. I'll check on my phone to make sure, because I think this deserves an actual live stream. Let me just check on my phone to make sure that everything's working fine, how it looks. I can't even see comments. So let me go to my channel, live stream. Yeah, so you can see all that fine. I can see that on my phone. Right, so there is a comment here from, I think it's a guy called, I'm going to call him Sham. I can't pronounce that name. Apologies. I'm not being ignorant either. I physically can't pronounce that name. Let me just click onto the thing now. And he says, no such thing as an Islamic grooming gang. There are Muslims involved, but their actions are forbidden in Islam and punishable severely by the Sharia. It's like saying Islamic drug pushers. It's not right to conflate the teachings of a religion with the actions of its people. Otherwise, the Catholics would be in a much worse position. No need to mention the reasons why. Now, this is a comment that was sent to me, given, I respect the comment. Thank you very much for the comment. There's no hate from myself. But he mentioned Sharia. And this is where I want to debunk a few things. You know, I went down the Sharia rabbit hole of looking into this. And I just want you to know, I want to reply to this fully. And he says, what's the age of consent under Sharia? He said, at Stray Cabbage, the same as Christianity and Judaism. When the girl has reached physical and mental maturity, most post puberty, basically. So, as you know yourself, we all know young girls, young men that mature quite fast. I had a friend in school, Alex, I'll not say his second name, he had a beard whenever he was 10. He started growing a beard whenever he was 10. I also knew a young girl who got pregnant at 12 years of age. And so, under Sharia, that would be deemed okay because that person's matured. So a 60-year-old man could maybe marry a 12-year-old, and this is where it's flawed. And you have to know about Sharia. Under Sharia, Sharia can be interpreted to the province. So, for instance, in the Middle East or any country that accepts Sharia as actual law, then the person who is the leader can interpret Sharia how they see fit. So you can have Sharia where they're cutting off people's hands for theft. There could be death penalties for murderers and speedos and rapists. Um, you know, okay, that's their law. That's fine. But under their law, a man could legally marry a 60-year-old man could marry a 12-year-old if she is deemed mature by the state under Sharia. So we'll read on. We'll read on here. And it's not the same as Christianity because I grew up in a Christian country and never once was I told that a girl just needed to be mature. They needed to be mature for that to be deemed consensual. So no, that's completely wrong. I can't speak on Judaism, however. Okay, grape gangs perpetrated by the same ethnicity. Rapists are killed for sport where I live. All perverts, really. Which are you? I replied to him, no, we do not have religious laws in Western society. Christianity does not determine the age of consent in Western society. My question is, what age of consent? What is the age of consent under Sharia law? The age of consent in Ireland and England is 17. I actually think it's 16, but personally myself, I would actually up that. I would have it staggered. If I had any power in Ireland and England, I would have it staggered. Nobody over the age of 30 or over the age of 30 would be able to go with anybody under the age, anybody from 18 to 20. It would be staggered because I think the laws are flawed. I think I said that right. I think you know what I'm getting at there. Like, I disagree with a 60-year-old man maybe manipulating a 17-year-old girl that's vulnerable. The laws need to be staggered so dirty old perverts can't manipulate young women. I think he's under. Maybe I said that wrong, but you get what I'm saying. And the age of I think, yeah, the age of consent is 16. I think, but I would have it a lot higher. So 17 for females under Sharia law. If a 10-year-old is matured, then that is deemed okay. That is not okay in Western society, and I'm sure you agree. Whoa, what obscene lies you put forward. At Stray Cabbage, I can't think of any 10-year-olds in the modern era who would be physically and mentally mature. So it's a false. It's false. Thousands of years ago, things were drastically different. That's why we don't apply our modern ways to Mary, Mother of Christ, for example, who was certainly a child by today's standards and married to a 90-year-old Joseph. What? Okay. So let's just play this. Let's just play this person at his own game. Okay. So, brother, that was 2,000 years ago, and let's go by your logic, right? Let's just hypothetically say that everything you've just said there is 100%, factually correct. Then that was 2,000 years ago. We're living in 2024, and in 2024 there's a thing called Sharia where children can be exploited. Now, I don't care if that's Christianity, I don't care if that's Judaism, I don't care if that's Islam. What I'm trying to say is there is a Neanderthal law that exploits children under Sharia, and there's no getting away from that. And there is people wanting Sharia in the West, and they're advocating for them, seeing the stickers all over Dublin, where they're saying Sharia law is going to abolish all criminality in Dublin. Well, it will whenever you cut the hands of thieves. Do you know what I mean? And under Western society, that's wrong, brother. That's we have evolved by these types of laws. Stray Cabbage, and might I ask, why in Christianity is God not capable of instructing humanity, his creation, or their laws and boundaries of morality? And instead, we humans know better when it comes to running our own affairs, especially when Jesus said he didn't come to change the law and none of his disciples left the Hebrew law. Either you must stand by your Western values and by doing so reject the Creator as all sovereign, reject the truth of Christianity, or you stand by your Christianity and admit that the Muslims and Jews are right in adhering to God's revealed law. Can't have it both ways as far as I can see. Now, my reply to that is we're not talking about the in-depth values of Christianity and Islam. As it stands, I respect a lot of Muslims, but what I do adhere to is the law of the land. So I don't want my faith to determine how somebody else lives. Under with the radical Islamic wave that's coming in right now, there's people coming from countries that have lived under Sharia law that are coming in here, and they also want Sharia law here. There's people being converted here that agree with Sharia law. And to me, what that is, that's them trying to change the law of the land, the law that has led us to this great civilization in the West. So you can, with the proof is in the pudding, look at all the other countries in the Middle East and look at the West. We don't live under Sharia law, but a lot of them do. So this isn't about what the Prophet Muhammad spoke about. This isn't what Jesus spoke about. This is about the Western society, and people in the West should not allow Sharia law to take over. And if there's anybody promoting Sharia law, I would actually see that as an act of tyranny, because you're persecuting in Sharia law. Women are persecuted against. There's no age of consent. Thieves get their hands cut off even if they just steal a loaf of bread if they're hungry. This is all possible under Sharia. So how can I accept that? I will never accept that. I would rather die than accept that. Um, I didn't read that comment, by the way. That's I replied. I goes, you don't, and then I replied, you don't think any 10-year-old would be mature. There's a problem right there. It doesn't matter what one thinks. It's a matter of law. Law is set up to protect people. We can't rely on people's moral values. If we if if we did, children would be exploited. Under Sharia law, a man can marry a girl of any age as long as they're mature. A young girl might physically mature, but mentally she's still a child. Then there's disabilities like autism. Under Sharia law, the leader of that district or ruler of that country can dictate how to interpret Sharia, so Sharia in itself can be manipulated to one's own will, and that leaves children vulnerable. And it does, because okay, uh, pedos might get capital punishment in some of these countries because they have committed a terrible act upon a child. But what you've just said, they're under Sharia, as long as that child is deemed mature enough, a 60-year-old man can marry that child. Now, do you see where the flaw is there? So you're going to have capital punishment for somebody who has targeted a child for their own sexual gratification. But on the other side, if they do it under Sharia law legally, that 60-year-old man can marry that child as long as under Sharia they're deemed mature enough. That's called pedophilia, brother. That's called pedophilia. That's called legal pedophilia. Sorry to tell you. Just having a look at the chat. Another person said, I'm not going to read that comment out because I'm not going to disrespect Islam like that. And then he wrote, that sounds a bit like head in the sand to me. No, I think that your head's in the sand with this, unfortunately. You can keep saying Christianity has no problems. I never said that. I never once. Christianity has a lot of problems. While your churches are empty. Now, this is where the attack comes in. There's a reason why so many are converting to Islam. And unless you actually deal with the issue, some of which I mentioned, I'm afraid you'll never be able to fix the root problem of Ireland's downfall. So you've acknowledged there's a downfall in Ireland, and thank you for acknowledging that. It's necessary to assess our own shortcomings in order to progress and in order to check the attacks from outside. If I just maintain that our own culture, religion, and nationality is superior to others by default, then I am nowhere. Well, I've never once said that my culture or nationality is superior to others. I'm not against multiculturalism. Rather, we must truly ask ourselves, is today's Christianity a valid reflection of life and teachings of Christ? If Christ and his mother came back today, they would be presumed to be Muslim. There's a reason why. No, because you're interpreting that from 2,000 years ago. So what you're doing is you're taking the scripture from 2,000 years ago and you're applying that today. Now, yes, it can be applied today to a certain degree, but you're totally 100% incorrect there. Now, the real question is, if Jesus came back, if and it's prophesied that he will he be met with the same hostilities? He'll be met with worse hostilities because we're living in a demonic society. We're living in a society that was prophesied, and if you're very well rehearsed in scripture, Islamic and Christian, then you will know that we're possibly coming to the end times with what's happening in regards to the leaders around the world. So they will be met with more hostilities, but Jesus will not be Muslim. This is the corruption of Christianity and how we allow this. Now, if I said to you, if I said something like that about Muhammad, I would be met with hostilities, because the reason why Islam is so attractive today to young children is because it has a brotherhood. That's why most of Black Lives Matter have converted to Islam, because there is a brotherhood and it can be very hostile. With me, if you do something upon me, I will not retaliate. I'll pray for you, and I hope that you get better. In Islam, it's completely different. Hence why I can whistleblow on Christianity, and I was one of the people in 2016 to advocate against the Catholic Church because of what they've done to children. In Islam, it's completely different. If you whistleblow within Islam, you're totally ostracized from that community, and possible physical harm can be put upon you. That's why you can't whistleblow within that. So hopefully that answers that question for you. I goes, you're taking this personal for some reason. Under Sharia law, children are exploited. There's no getting away from that. And that's just me using your own logic against you. Where I'm from, brother, the churches are packed. Have a good evening. Now, I need you to know this here. The churches are packed. I think there's a few mosques in Belfast, but other than that, I don't see a lot of mosques. There's not one in my area. The churches are packed, and this is a Christian country, and this civilization was built on Christianity, whether that be Protestant, Catholic, or whatever. This society was built on a Christian society, and there's no getting away from that. And anything other than that, anything away from that, like Sharia law, is a regression and not a progression. And I've just stated there under Sharia that a person, you can, yes, under Sharia, pedophiles there's capital punishment for pedophiles, which is a good thing. But what Sharia determines as a paedophile? How does Sharia determine what a paedophile is? Somebody who attacks a child needlessly for their own sexual gratification? Okay, I would agree. But then under Sharia, if I live in a Sharia zone in some part of the world, if that father says, well, my 12-year-old daughter has matured now, and I'm a 60-year-old man, you can marry my daughter, that's deemed 100% acceptable. So there is a loophole there for pedophiles to exploit children, and there's no getting away from that. And that's why there is child marriages around the world in Sharia zones. I'm sure this happened in Christianity. I'm sure this happened with other religions, but we have evolved by that to realize that children are very, very vulnerable, and we can't allow this. Hence why there is the law of the land. There is the separation from church and state, because there needs to be. And I agree with that. These are my beliefs, but I don't want my beliefs to bring further tyranny onto others. With the Islamic wave, they're actively saying that Sharia is the way to go. Sharia is not the way to go. It's a regression and not a progression. I'm not saying Islam. I'm saying Sharia here. I need to state this. So there's not much. I'm not going to read any of the other comments. But what do you think about that? Apologies. I'm not even using a mic here, so apologies about that. I'm sorry about that. If you can you not hear that? Let me go. I can't even see the comments. Let me see if we can get the live chat up here. So I really wanted to reply to that. Here's the comments here. I can only see a few comments. You got a Scottish accent, mate. Yeah, why does the comments disappear? What's the crack with that? Like, what's going on here? Turn up the volume, please. What are the names of the people who told you they want Sharia law? Well, I've just put them on the screen, and I don't want any, hostilities coming to them. They're having their point, and I'm having my say. That's a free society, but I've just laid out what I believe, the craziness here, that this isn't about just Christianity and Islam. Religious freedom is necessary. This is solely about keeping the law of the land and debunking that Sharia is this law that exterminates all the bad people. It doesn't, because there's loopholes. Like under Sharia, you can basically be a 60-year-old man, marry a 12-year-old, as long as that 12-year-old under Sharia is deemed mature. and it's all opinion based. So there's not one district that has Sharia law that is the same as another. Well, there probably is, but I mean, like it's interpreted the way the ruler or the dictator wants to interpret it. You can have one person that's really lenient and one person that's really strict. Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to talk about that today. Leave a comment in the comment section because I cannot see the live chat here. YouTube really need to work on this. This is absolutely disgusting. Um, I mean, the comments show up for about 3 seconds and then go away. How do I keep that on the screen? And I can't even scroll through the comments. Sort it out, YouTube. But listen, respect to the man who left the comments. I wanted to reply to him fully. I want you to know this isn't about Muhammad and Jesus. This is about protecting children. I have my religious beliefs. You have your religious beliefs, but those religious beliefs shouldn't be thrown upon others, especially if there was a law in Christianity where there was loopholes where 60-year-old men could marry children. I would be advocating against that. I'd be saying this is disgusting and stop this. In Islam, you aren't doing that. You are actually promoting Sharia law. Women have to cover up. Why do women have to cover up in Sharia law? Because it stops the man from being aroused. It's deemed as unpure. I think women should live in this. I think women should live in a society where they don't have to cover up, just in case I get sexually aroused. They have the right to do what they want, and this is where I actually, when you listen to me, I'm more left leaning than anybody. I don't understand how anybody on the left, is a supporter of Sharia law. I don't get it. I can understand why Black Lives Matter do it because they're basically a militia today, but that's it, guys. That's it. That's what I have for you today. I'll read your comments in the comment section, not here because I can't see them. So apologies about that. Peace out.